The Senior Games of Barbados hold significant importance as a cherished tradition that celebrates the resilience, the vitality and contributions of the island's elder population. More than just a sporting event, the Senior Games serves as a platform for fostering social inclusion, promoting active aging and nurturing a sense of community among older adults. Participants ranging from seasoned athletes to recreational enthusiasts, they showcase talents and camaraderie across a variety of sports and activities, embodying the spirit of active living and lifelong engagement. Beyond the athletic arena, the Senior Games provide opportunities for intergenerational interaction, cultural exchange, and the sharing of wisdom and experiences, reinforcing the bonds of unity and respect across generations. As a testament to the enduring value of active aging and the vibrant spirit of Barbadian society, the Senior Games stands as a beacon of inspiration and pride for participants, spectators, and the community at large. This year, 2024, the Senior Games will be held from May 5th to May 20th. In this, the first in the series of Golden Glory, we celebrate our seniors and we journey with them towards the Senior Games 2024.
The Senior Games was born out of what they would call visual impact. Visual impact from the point of view that on mornings early when I was minister and I'm going to work very early, I probably might have something 3-4 o'clock. We used to see many people on the road working out, walking, running, and most of those persons were senior citizens. And they were very fit at the time. So one morning, I left my home in Kingston at the time, myself and my driver, young gentleman, well, an older gentleman than me at the time, called Mr. Sylvester Brown. But the thing about it is that we had an argument over who's the fastest out of me and him. I tell him, you can't beat me in a race. And it got so torrid at the time that we went to the National Stadium. I took off my jacket in a competitive race. Well, you know, and when he started, I didn't see really Marvin. That was Marvin. Oh, real hard. I passed, but he was fit. So then I told him it's still one of the best things that we should do. Why not start something called Senior Games? It was there at that point, the competitive race between he and I, that I ended up in my office on that day, sitting down to plan the very first Senior Games. And of course, I nicknamed him Senior Citizen, right? So when we looking back at the Senior Games, certainly he was one of the architects and one of the, one of the icons, so to speak, behind the Senior Games. In a simple clash between he and I on the National Stadium track. However, in getting to my office, we took the whole idea very serious about starting the Senior Games. I then assembled a group of technocrats probably from the ministry to seriously plan the Senior Games. And those technocrats included the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Kathleen Haynes, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ms. Ruth White Blackman, also Mr. Errol Best, Bert from Niles. Also, you will not believe this, Mr. Mark Beaufort, who was very young at the time, but he had, he was a very good organizer and he loved sports. So he sat on that very first committee
And you had Miss O'Neill, who just passed away from the Aquatic Center. She was on that committee too.
In addition to Michael Jules, he was part of the commentary team, and Mr. Trevor Marshall, he was at the time a lecturer at the Barbados Community College. He was also part of that. Mr. Ray Riley, he did with the physical layout of the senior games at the time. Miss Kathleen Drayton, she was the chair of the very first senior citizens games, and she did an excellent job. She was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, a wonderful personality, a wonderful motivator, and she is the person, along with the team that we had, that really have to organize these senior games. But I have to say the late Kathleen Drayton. But she had a lot of inspiration to the game. Of course, we had assembled a very good team, a team that knew exactly what to do. The technical aspect was put into the hands of Rod Clark. You know, Rod Clark had competed, I think, in the 1976 Montreal Games. He represented Barbados.
Well, actually, from Parkinson School, when I was going to school there, I actually took part in almost all the disciplines, but I was very good at football, track and field, and cricket. I actually went to trials on the 19 team. That time Parkinson was a comprehensive school, but it's no secondary. And I went to trials there. But how I managed to get into athletics, Mr. Frank Blackman, I don't know if you remember him, former coach, but he's now deceased. He saw me running behind the football and said, "You're wasting your time." So I said, "Frank, why are you saying that?" Because I like playing it. He said, "Man, no, in 6 months' time, I will get you on the Barbados team." I said, "Well, you think I'm good enough?" He said, "Yes." So he was based at Harrison College then, and he asked me to come to Harrison College. And there was a club near USC, which I was in first time that I started really running outside of school. And actually, in 5 months' time, I was on the national team going to, it was British Guyana then, the Linden Games, right. And from then I started performing as an athlete. Still play cricket, but it was more with the track and field. And then I represented Barbados in the 70s. I broke the national record, the 200-meter record, as I mentioned to you earlier, in 1975, and it was broken in 1985. But in 1976, I went on to the Olympics, and I competed in 200 meters and relay. And then I took over from Kathy Harper Hall and Mr. Keith Vieira, the National Industrial Games, which I chaired for 20 years.
I had a very good knowledge of athletics from an organizational point of view. Also, I think Ron also had organized the National Industrial Games. He gave it a good background.
Most of the athletes who competed were like in their 40s. We had mostly in netball and the other disciplines, people in their 20s. So Mr. Hamilton Lashley, who was then Minister of Social Transformation, he came to me because we all grew up in the Pine. And he said, if we can get these senior people running. Because I had a few there running who were in their 50s. I said I have no problem with that.
So the first thing we had to do was prepare the cabinet paper.
So he asked me to formulate a program, which I did. I gave him the program, he carried the cabinet, but as usual, these are older people that you're going to use now to run on a track. And they were a bit skeptical.
When the cabinet paper was prepared, I was a little apprehensive at first, but full of enthusiasm that if we could get these games come off, then it would be a wonderful thing for Barbados. But still we had the doubts, because when you're taking a paper to cabinet, they have to be thoroughly prepared, all the pros and cons, you have to look at it, all the details, and bringing something like this that is new to Barbados, new to the cabinet, you have to dot your I's, cross your T's, you have to be fully prepared. to ensure that it get past cabinet, because sometimes cabinet can be very dry. In terms when you're bringing a paper before cabinet, and you have to satisfy cabinet members, and in particular the Prime Minister at the time, who was Mr. Harper, Owen Seymour Harper.
He came back to me and he said, you could do anything with this. I said, we'll tweet it. I will put some funny events in it. I had a few, but I put more.
And he set out the events: 100 meters, 200 meters, 50 meters, egg and spoon race, the sock races. Could mix a lot of fun into it. Tug of war, those kind of events that the seniors would enjoy.
You carry it back to them and they approve it. Actually, the former Prime Minister, Mr. After, he was happy to see something like that coming on board.
And some people had their doubts, though, cabinet members, about the viability, and everything would come off, about the attendance and all of that. But I was confident, and some other members of the cabinet then were confident that it could happen, including the current Prime Minister, Mayor Moore Mortley. But I remember former Prime Minister Arthur telling me, well, actually, if anybody get injured up there, the bill is yours here, in terms of if they got injuries or anything like that. That played on my mind a bit. A lot of work went into it, though, because we had to get the road runner at VOB at the time, to go into the communities. Mr. Goddard, he and the young gentleman at CBC, KB Clean, right? And we did a lot of roll cloud. All of us went from community to community throughout Barbados, pushing the senior games. The response from the communities was how to put it, was tremendous. I mean, when we go out with the road run, everybody say, yeah, I competed, I can be up there at this stadium. Yeah. It was that kind of enthusiasm, and it was that kind of warmth, and that kind of excitement, exuberance coming from the people in the various communities. And, it was something that I would never, ever forget. The kind of response. I bring my family here. I bring, all we coming up there with we picnic basket. We come in to enjoy ourselves, because it was that kind of reaction and interaction. How many are you running? That kind of thing, you know what I mean? Then the Prime Minister, he going to come and compete, and echoing what took place at the time, the kind of sentiment, the kind of feedback that you got out of the game from the people in the communities. And we went to almost every single parish and those communities that we had target: St. John, Gordon and St. John, Gordon and Christchurch, obviously. We went into Nelson Street, we went into Baxter Road, we went across, we went into St. Lucie Checkout, we went on almost to every single area in Barbados. But, and that kind of energy that came out from the people in the community further propel us that we had to ensure and that this game was a success. But not only that, it gave you a sense of confidence, although I had doubted the fact that I went about the stadium today that you would have had a successful game. But it was tremendous. But of course, what really, really cemented me also was the fact that, having spoken to other seniors at the time, mainly this gentleman, Mr. Victor Young, who was one of these confident, energetic, and certainly motivating factors uh, within the first senior games?
I contacted Hamilton Lashley at the time because there were some guys who I knew were fit guys in the time. When I saw them, they were actually running fat. And I said to some of the guys, this isn't what it is for y'all guys. And there was no outlet. After you were 35 and 40, there weren't any outlets anymore for guys at that age. So I talked with Mr. Lashley at the time. He was Minister of Transformation, and I got some of the guys who I think would have been able, some of them came along, but they said the knees were bad, so they can't continue. But then we started to keep it going from there. I tried to make sure that the first time of the games, we got some of the guys coming in.
But on that day of the first senior games, it was an amazing thing. Ronnie Grant was one of the persons also that worked with the organization of the very first senior games. He was an advisor in the ministry. And I remember that part of the cultural product that we put on for the opening ceremony of the games was coordinated also by himself and Mr. Ray and featured a number of the dancers from the Finance Creative Workshop at the time, which added a nice cultural feel to the opening of the game. I've been up to the stadium early morning, did not sleep properly that night. Thinking about if it failed, it was a Saturday, what the consequences could be. And when I went up to the stadium, me and the great with him, who was a very good friend of mine, we like to call him Zorro. Okay. But the point is, when he brought me up there, and that was about 7 o'clock. A couple of people were at the stadium. Of course, at that time, I had anticipated that a lot more people would be there at the time. So I'd been off to church. And then I saw him come back for me and tell me that they want me at the stadium. But he would not tell me why. So I came out to the church, which was at Parkinson School. And he dropped me to he took the back road to the stadium. So all I could hear as we approached the stadium, this noise. And when we arrived at the stadium, I could not believe it. Almost every single stand at the stadium was full.
I thought that people were curious. We had just over 13,000 people at the stadium. They were all on the velodrome. The stands were packed. I figured I had more too because they only had 13,000 tickets at that time.
And it was a fantastic sight to see families there. The cycle crowd was being encouraged upon. I mean, it was a mammoth crowd.
These were scenes to be seen here at the National Stadium.
The track and field at the stadium, it stand mostly people.
Next day, when the cabinet was you know, everybody complimenting the effort and complimenting the success of the first ever senior games in Barbados. Oh, in that first senior game, everybody was a winner because even the person that ran last, I remember when we did the distance race, this lady race finished about 2 or 3 minutes, and this lady was still on the track, and a resounding echo of choruses coming from the crowd cheer on, and she got a surge, a renewed energy, and finished, and then when she finished, the entire stadium and ground stood up and gave her a standing ovation. So the spirit of the senior games was in essence captured through the competitors and the camaraderie, the rivalry, the fun, but more or less it echoed, sent a surge of energy to other Barbadians that the senior games in Barbados was here to stay.
But did it surprise you, the kind of turnout?
Yes, the spectators did surprise me. I didn't expect so many people, right?
What do you think would have brought them here? I mean,
well, to see the seniors running, you know, I think that was the whole idea. Coming out to see, you know, they were making fun at it, and they didn't expect us to really, you know, put up such a performance, and I think this is why they're here.
what do you think about the concept of these games?
Oh, I think the games are good. The spectators, we have a lot of spectators here, and I look forward to more competitors next year.
I think it has a very, very bright future. As you know, all of us need activity for health all our lives, and if we can get more people being conscious that it is still possible to compete, to have fun, while at the same time, you know, increasing your health and maintaining your health, I think from that point of view is excellent. People tend to think that once you get a certain age, everything switches off. It doesn't. It may slow down a little, but everything else functions, and you need good health to stay healthy.
And I think from what we've seen here, the real statement is that the older folks in our society, they're saying we want to be included.
Definitely so. And they have fun, and it must be approached from a fun element and a participation element as well. It was lovely to see the grannies, as they call them, come over running the dresses. I think some of them may not even have thought about participating before they got here, but when they got here, they got caught up in the excitement of it, and they came out and they enjoyed it.
It was a phenomenal event, but everything else that happened after that, it was sheer glory, particularly for the athletes, for the seniors, and you know, it was a wonderful thing. The reviews were good, and the events, they were spontaneous. It would be good to get some clips of the first games at the National Stadium, because you would see people running just in their ordinary clothes, and you know, running in their shoes and taking off the shoes and running on the track.
They were in dresses, they were in big pants. You know, they're not accustomed to this sort of thing. But after that first year, the second year, because that started in 2002, 2003, you had some people who competed who felt, no man, this thing is better than what we were doing before, not doing anything. And they started wearing bodysuits. I can call names like Anthony Helly, Victor Young, you know, Haynes the Label, Cafe Harper, all of these people were the people who really started. But they blamed me. They said that I had the competition too competitive, which wasn't so. They took care on themselves to wear these bodysuits. And it really helped, because a lot of people started doing the same thing.
As a senior athlete, people had seen it as some people who were coming out in old pants and old shirts. And I said to some of the people who were in position to realize that we are not coming out in shirts and pants. My people who used to supply me with my gear was sports and games. People like Mr. Lane and Mr. Ford. They make sure that I got the best equipment, my running shoes, my body suits. Because I always said, if you're going to be out there, you must look apart. So I had to look apart. Don't mind some of my own seniors were a little jealous and say, why are you showing off? But I always tell people, if you're good at something, you can show it off. I never believe in talking about people. You're humble. Humble about what? You're not begging. If you are good, you show it. When you're walking people, you walk it. You look like it. When I look at athletes today, I can't tell you that they're athletes. Because in my day, as an athlete and a bodybuilder, my head would be in the air. I walk upright. I carry a posture.
Looks like Victor Young, Herbert Clark, Cecil Archer, Errol Pilgrim, and Percival.
Well, there are actually only two competitors in this race.
Only two competitors.
Only two of
and this is a match race.
Of the four.
But no match here for the eventual winner. I'm trying.
It looks like Victor Young.
Looks like Victor Young.
Let me just confirm that for you.
Young.
It is Victor Young.
A man of steel in more ways than one.
This has been episode 1 of Golden Glory as we continue to celebrate the senior games here in Barbados. I'm Sherwood McCaskey.